Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Raisa Lopez from Channel Sales and Marketing at IIG. We are so excited to present to you AcuRental, our rental order processing solution for Acumatica. AcuRental is a certified solution and always current. You can find pricing on the Acumatica price list, and you can find some more information on the Acumatica marketplace as well. Before we get started, just wanted to share a little bit about us in case we haven't worked together before. We have over 30 years of experience in ERP and in publishing ISV solutions as well. We have successfully published 17 enhancements for Acumatica, 10 of which are certified, including AcuRental. And we have sold 2 of our modules to Acumatica. That was our AcuGmail and Acumatica's point of sale. We're also partnered with over 100 different Acumatica VARs, and we provide support with discoveries and demos, and we can also give you some partner branded marketing material as well. And we support over 1,000 customers worldwide with our solutions, and we're a gold Acumatica partner. Here are just some of our AcuRental customers. And as you can see, we support industries in construction tools, heavy equipment, equipment leasing, electronics and medical devices, scaffolding, staging, and production as well. We want to welcome you to check out our website where you can find tons of reviews from partners that we work with and customers as well. And we want to thank you again for your time and for being with us today. And we want to encourage you to type your questions in at any time, and we will address them at the end of the call. So with that being said, I will pass you over to Alec, our Chief Solutions Architect.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Alec with Information Integration Group, and I want to welcome you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this PowerPoint presentation quickly, and after that, I'll start showing you the program. So the product, as Raisa mentioned, is called AcuRental. We've published.
Alec, you can start sharing your screen now.
I thought I did. So it's not sharing it. Share. Is it sharing now?
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for pointing that out. So AcuRental is developed to work with all Acumatica module. It works with the field service module that you do the crew scheduling, rental processing, project accounting, CRM. You could enter rental lines in opportunities, point of sale, customer portal will let you add rental lines, fixed asset, equipment, and service manager, and so forth. So it lets you create your rental contracts. It tracks your rental inventory, what you have available today, next month, 2 weeks from now. You can reserve a serial number for an order. And as I said, works with many of the other Acumatica modules. We support the whole cycle. So if you come across our customers that want to start the rental from the opportunity, they could create an opportunity, load rental items in it, create multiple quotes. Rentals will be loaded into quotations. You can enter whether you're billing that customer weekly, daily, monthly. One of them gets approved. Then you generate your rental contract. Right from the rental contract, we let you create projects based on templates that you've defined. And based on the setting for the project task, by item class or by the type of item, we will even load the basically the task for the lines that you're loading into the order. We'll let you create service orders right from the rental contract, create production work orders. Often folks in the rental industry, where they're live entertainment and they need to build a stage or construction and they need to work on a dozer before it goes up, change the bucket size and things of that sort. We'll create those. We support, as part of the integration with the work order module, repairs, whether it's billable or non-billable, repairing customers' equipment, partial disassemblies, full disassemblies, if you're harvesting parts out of equipment to use for others. Of course, sub-rental purchase orders, as well as purchase orders to get contractors to come work on the project. Of course, everything gets rolled up to the project. We write from the rental contract to the project, so you can have projects that you've set up, rental contract that you've set up, that you process the rental, the inventory check-in, checkouts, missing and damage tracking, availability management, but the billing comes to the project module. And you can decide what post you want to post to projects for rentals. We also do intercompany transaction. Of course, everything rolls up to the warehouse where, as you shipping the product to the customer, you can have different pallets for different locations where products need to be dropped off. Whether you're doing an event like Acumatica Summit and certain products going to the breakout session one, some for the gala event, and on and on. Of course, all of that, we support rental transaction entry in the Acumatica's mobile app, as well as from the service orders. So again, everything is integrated with the project. We work with the projects very closely. We're making enhancements in Acumatica CRM activity tracking to let you create project tasks for your rentals. If you're doing a rental, whether it's a big construction project or it's a live entertainment package, we'll let you create CRM templates where it would have nested tasks, and will manage the cases, CRM activities as part of rental system. Rental dashboard, you enter a date range. For the enter date range, will show you what orders are to ship, what orders are to return. We'll show you what products on rent. So these are the products that are on rent, quantity on rent, on rental order. Basically, on rent means customer has it, you've delivered it, they picked it up. On rental orders means it's on you've entered it on an order, it's waiting to go out, what's on hand, what's available, what missing and damage you have that you need to take actions on. So whenever someone returns something and part of it is damaged or part of it is missing, you can give them a grace period. If they don't do good, you can decide to invoice them or close it if they do good. We work with the service module. As you'll see, the difference in our integration with the field service module by line item in the rental contract, whether it's a model equipment that needs to get installed or crewing that needs to happen, operators that need to go and operate. We let you by line item decide who are the technicians that you want to assign, what date, what time you want to create that appointment for, and we'll create the appointment, bring up the calendar board, our production screen if you want to do productions, and a dashboard for the production if you're doing some work for the equipment that needs to go out, project manager and employee dashboards. Now here we're seeing an opportunity, and notice that the opportunity has rental contracts, rental line items on it. You have the ability to enter all the notes and have certain items flagged as these are rental items. And you can load the items from an Excel if you're done your coding in Excel, or you can enter in package, and based on that package, we will load a whole bunch of items. And here it's a small projection package that loads all of these items. Some electricians, some master electricians, some operators would get loaded by just entering that item in the opportunity. Here we're showing you how you can create your transactions both from here and from the rental contract. So rental contract, we add this plus sign. So you click on it, enter a template. We'll create the project for you. And of course, Acumatica's projects, we support all of the postings, whether it's from our production or service orders to the project, so you'll see profitability. When it comes to loading items into rental contracts, we let you group items into configurable kits. So again, this item is a small production package. Of course, you go to your groupings. Once you select that item, it will ask you for what type of drape you want, what type of a carpet do you want, whether you want a generator added or not. And we'll add all of these items by you just selecting one item and going to the options into the order. This is where you've told it that you want to schedule some of this crew. When you click on it, any line item that needs to be scheduled gets loaded in a separate screen. You click on add staff, shows you what staff are available that have the needed license, skill are available. You select them, and at the end you can save it, or you can click on create and it will go ahead and create appointment. Notice that as you're loading each one of these technicians, you can enter whether you need a separate appointment, what date, what time. If it's something that you want repeating, maybe you have a driver and you have a 2 weeks period that every 3 days you need to switch the driver operator, the system would create appointments for different lines entered with different technicians. Production work orders, I mentioned, you can create work orders for fixing the bucket or putting a safety cap on a dozer tractor, and it will get loaded on the scheduling board. You do scanning to ship the products out. Uh, we post, as I mentioned, to the project, so you can have percent of the revenue posted, rental revenue posted to the project as a cost. Even if you're doing the billing to the project, you still can take what the revenue would have been and post a percent of it to the project as a cost, or just enter a fixed amount to post to the project as a cost. Creating the POs, sub-rental POs for the line item. So our rental pricing is very flexible. You can have bill codes. Bill codes basically let you specify what do you want to charge for a day, week, month for this item. Now we get fancy. If you have situations where 1 to 3 days you want to charge daily, from 4 to 7 days you want to charge weekly, 8 to 14 days you want to repeat this cycle, anything over 15 days you want to charge for a month. So all of this could be set up as part of your pricing. And the pricing could be for duration as well as for usage. So if you have a generator that you're renting X dollars per week, but for that they're only allowed to use 40 hours of it, you could set it up so if they use it for more than 40 hours, you'd go ahead and invoice them. Availability management. So this screen would show you for any item on the rental contract, and this can be accessed from the rental contract, where whenever the availability is impacted, we show you for that item what's on rental orders, taking into account quotations and not quotations. So this is quantity on rental orders, quantity on rent, quantity on rental orders, included quotations, available and available, taking into account quotations. We also have this screen where you give it a date and an item class or an item, and it will show you all the items and their availability. So these are done this way. So if you need to sub-rent one item, or you have different items that can substitute each other, you see which one is available, which one isn't. Or if you need to sub-rent, you sub-rent the product for the shortest amount of time. This is where you enter your pricing for the item. So this is an item. This is a forklift that we're renting. And here's where we're telling it the pricing. Pricing could be date range based, specific customer, class of customers, or grouping. You can enter things like different bill codes to invoice the duration or the usage. Invoicing, this screen would auto-generate your invoices if you set up the schedule. Otherwise, you can tell it whether you want to invoice everything upfront, upon return, or periodic. So these are settings that come from the customer record, and it gets defaulted to the sales order. You can modify if you want to. And this screen has the ability to set up a job, say everything that is upfront, as soon as it's shipped, go ahead and invoice, or everything that's upon return, when it's returned, go ahead and invoice. So if it's periodic, go ahead and check to see when was the last time we invoiced them, or whether or not it needs to be invoiced again. Scheduled service. We manage your scheduled services for you. So if you have a tractor, a dozer, a generator that once a year or so many hours usage, you need to do these services to it, or once a quarter, you need to change the oil. You could define all of this, and when the product comes back or when you run this job, we'll show you what scheduled services you need to perform. Now, we'll let you enter the inventory here that needs to be used. We'll create an issue transaction for you in Acumatica, so the inventory that you use gets consumed. And this is where you basically are creating the scheduled services. We'll let you define what check-in, check-outs you need to perform. So when it goes out, rent or return, you may want to do different things. If the generator, when they're doing a return, you may want to check the condition, that the fact that it starts. When it goes out, you may want to check to make sure that it generates the proper wattage of, kilowatts of revenue and all of that. So you enter different functions that need to be performed. As part of this, we also give you the ability to do QC on your service orders. We give you the ability to QC your product that you're receiving in. So that's it. Now, here we're looking at specific serial numbers. So you have an item, stock item, has so many serial numbers. Serial numbers are serialized. You can assign colors to the each status. It's on rent, it's in inspection, it's in stock, it's PM, preventive maintenance, scheduled services, create tabs. And as you click on any one line, we will show you information that we store for that specific unit. So here for each unit. For this specific serial number, will show you what you paid for it, what costs you've incurred, whether it's an accounts payable invoice where you enter an AP bill, you enter what equipment it's for and what cost code, or whether it's the revenue you've generated, will show you those for the year, month. You could go drill down to the transaction and the source. And notice for the equipment, we will show you both revenue that you've generated from the rental of it, or you have this concept of resource equipment. So if you use that crane to deliver an air conditioning, you have that as being the resource equipment. The revenue could be as a resource equipment. Rental returns, one or multiple products could be returned. You flag your missing and damaged. Missing and damaged, you can invoice the customer for it. We'll let you manage your clock in and clock out. So when the employees are clock in and clock out, depending on the equipment employee setting, the employee can clock in, clock out, enter what sales order they were working on, what shipment they're working on, what work order, what service order. We'll track that time. We'll let you define what rules for overtime, and it will load this into Acumatica's employee time card activity tracking, so the crew manager could see the hours reported, that based on clock in and clock out, what shipment numbers they worked on, specific shipment or just general shipments or purchase receipt, and load it into Acumatica's payroll. We work with the Acumatica's customer portal, so you can set up which customers can enter orders, and whether they can enter the bill code or just selecting the item, and of course that gets loaded. And we're at the 17 minutes mark. I'm going to bring up the programs and quickly start showing the program. So this is our dashboard. As I mentioned, it shows you what orders are to ship, what orders are to return, what equipment are to repair, and all of that. Of course, you have the ability to drill down and see any of this with the customers, what's the scheduled shipment, and on and on. Sales orders, we let you create your sales orders. Rental contracts are a type of sales order. So we come in here and we're going to enter the customer. And basically, I'm going to select one customer. And what I think it's going to do from the customer record is going to bring a whole bunch of information. It's going to load them in here for me. Now, typically, I would not change this. If the customer setting is correct, I will just basically enter my date, starting date and ending date. And that's all I would be entering here. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to go over some of the things that are available to us. So first of all, there's two sets of dates for inventory management and billing. So you could be allowing your customer so many days for delivery, pickup, tear down, setup, and so forth. And you may not want to have different starting and ending billing date. I could tell it it's for 4 months, and the system would calculate my 4 months. I could tell it that I want to bill on the 21st of each month because it's shipping on the 21st, or I could tell it that I want to bill on the 10th of the month, 31st of the month, and it's going to say, great. If you want to bill 31st, what do I do? Bill from 21st to 31st? And I can say, you know what, just go ahead and bill daily for that, and so forth. So the system would know that. I can do bill in advance of a period. Upon return, I can do the first period in advance, late in return. We support all kind of minimum period billings and so forth. So you can do that if you have multiple shipments, bring everything to this first shipment cycle date, set up the date it was shipped as the first billing date, and things of that sort. So these are all part of the system. Whether you're billing, posting to the project, you specify in here. You have dates that you can set up, checkings that you can set up, and would not let you ship the order until certain functions are done. So again, this thing you would only modify if needed. All this information gets loaded from the customer record, and you only modify it as needed. We come to the detail tab to enter our items into the system. So add rental items, bring up the groupings that we've defined. So you can create any number of these groupings that you want: stages, audio, cables, scenic, excavators, tractors, and so forth and so on. Once you select the production package, we'll show you what production packages are available. You could select one, and it would do whatever it needs to do, whatever grouping that item has, it will bring it up and show it to you. And again, you build your orders by selecting the grouping, load some items, then go to the next grouping of items and select that, and it will load those items into the system. Notice you have a group code, and that group code is used to do things like breakout session 1, breakout session 2, and you can copy the items. So if you build your breakout session 1 and 2 and 3, 4 are duplicates of it, you can do a copy from breakout session 1 to 2, and it will go ahead and do it. Add and close for that item. Basically, what it's going to do is going to say, great, you want me to add that item, I'll go ahead and look to see what options it's set up for, and load certain items for me. So these are items that I've grouped together. I've said, when I say small projector, for sure, I want to have a speaker set with on-cue, whatever, electrician, master electrician. But I've said, with it comes some questions. Pipe and drapes, what color of that do I do? And I just say red. And this one, I may say gray. And, and this one, generator, I may say, and this one, I may say, yes, generator is included. Notice that these options could be required. So it could be a setup so you do not let them uh, go through this without anything else. So once I okay, notice that additional lines would get added to the order. Of course, this is how you will build your orders. You'll go through the next grouping videos, tractors, excavators, and so forth. So we just build the items right here in the system. Now, one thing I failed to mention is that all of that billing that we said you're doing a weekly, monthly, daily, you could do different by line item. So for this line item, generators, you bill it differently. You could tell it for this generator, start billing from this date. Maybe it's an event that a product that is only used during the gala dinner, so you only enter the starting and billing date for that as opposed to the entire. So we basically now have the ability to do the crew scheduling here. A lot of people, as they're doing operators, for their tractors and dozers or the things, they need to do some scheduling. So you could basically either add staff members here at this time or do it at a later time. So that basically becomes something that you could do. You could basically do the things like create the shipment for it right from here. So and or just go through and select that you want to do some of the scheduling of the work. They're all available here for us to work on it and do what we need to do to it. So I'm going to click on create shipment. Of course, the shipment could be done with the WMS system of Acumatica. It works just fine with rental orders, and we add functionality there. So as you scanning the items, you can even, as part of packing, tell it what box it went in. We also give you the ability to enter which boxes went into which truck. So if you're doing some of that as well. So there's some items that tell us that they're serialized. This is basic Acumatica functionality. So we're going to come in here and tell it, what location and what serial number we use for it. And notice that it tells me that I need to enter meter. So by item, you have the ability to tell it that whether when it comes back or when it goes out, you need to enter meter reading. So that was one. It told us that I need to do that. So it just tells me now go ahead and do that. So now if I save this or I try to confirm it, it's going to tell me that I need to do an inspection. And I can just basically click on QC inspections, and it will go ahead and tell me that some inspections need to happen, and it will take this and tell me that now this thing is in QC. Now the QC that I need to perform on it, on inspection, I can access right from here by clicking on take me to this inspections, and it will bring up this transaction and tell me that, okay, for these transactions, you need to do these inspections, or there's a program from the menu that somebody could be sitting here and this job is to do the QC functions, where you have someone that does all the electric functions or does all the rental shipments or rental returns and so forth and so on. So here you're not processing one transaction, where when you access it from the shipment screen, it knows what shipment it is for and it just loads that shipment. Doing the QC functions, you can just basically do functions like change the status to in processing, completed, it's repair, I need to do things, and line item, capture a signature, print the sheet, or complete it, or set it to be quick mode, and just go ahead and say, you know what, I've just done that, I've done this, I've done this other one, I've done this other one, and so forth and so on, and basically do the work that you need to do. So once you're done with this, you can just mark it as completed, and basically says that's not available in the so here are the inspections that we need to perform, and that's approval is required. So we flagged that and said approval is required. So I need to check that box also, tell it yes, it got approved. So as I mentioned, by QC function, you may set it up so approval is required, and that could be checking that box could be an event that only somebody with that access right could do. So you can come back and do that. Now I'm going to take us to the screen where we set up some of these QC functions to see. Now, if I go back to that shipment and I refresh, and now I can do the basically process that, and it would let me confirm that shipment of mine because I went ahead and I did the QC that I had to do for it. So now let's go look at the items where we set up the scheduled services and where we set up the QC functions that we need to perform. Okay, so if I take us to the stock item form, so let's see inventory. And if I bring an item like a generator that I have, you would see that there's a flag called QC required. If that QC is required flag is set, then I have this screen called QC code, this tab called QC code, that I specify in here what QC functions I need to perform. So if I need to do rental return, I'll tell it that for rental returns, I need to do these functions, whatever these functions are. And for rental shipments, I would tell it what I need to do. Now, rental shipments are fewer than rental returns. So basically, it allows me to do that. Of course, my mouse stops acting up. I'll be able to change that to rental shipment and do that. Sorry, but QC codes. Sorry, my mouse is acting up. But with basically here you have the ability to select the rental returns or rental shipments and see what you need to do for each one of them, whether approval is required, what are the valid entries for the QC when you do, whether it's a number range, maybe a pressure needs to be at a certain level, and all of those things are asked you, what's the valid problem codes, what is the valid reason. When it comes to the item scheduled services, where this is where you create the scheduled services, for 365 days or 240 hours used, we need to change this item, this labor, and these are the parts that we create the issue transaction for you. The same way we had for inspections, a screen that lets you manage the inspections. We have the same thing for scheduled services. So anything that you need to do a scheduled service on gets loaded in here. You can come in here, select the item number or the serial number, and perform that service that you needed to. Going back to the item, so that we had, so we selected some serial numbers here. We can go to the items and look at the specific information that we keep for each serial number. So if I come in here, I can basically enter 2-9 for just enter that serial number here. Now, of course, I could see everything that is in inspection. I could see everything that with this current status that is reserved, that's in the scheduled services, that it's on rent. So all of these are available things for me. Now, if I come in here and enter that serial number that I just put in there, and you will see that it's sitting here. So if I click on it, I'll be able to see the equipment information. So even if you have the field service module, if you don't have it, we let you store this information. So if you have the equipment module, you may just use the screens in the equipment module. But if you don't, we will let you right here for each equipment keep track of the make, model, so forth when you bought it. Every time you do an inspection, every time it goes out, ships or returns. I did not show you, but when you're shipping the product, you have the ability to enter specifically, pictures, notes, specific notes, and it will be all tracked in here, so you'll be able to see it. We let you swap products. So if you rent a generator and they call you 2 weeks into it and tell you that, that generator has a problem, we'll give you the ability to swap that generator. So you don't have to stop the rental. You have the ability to say, swap this unit with this unit. We'll bring the other unit back, put it through the inspections. We let you do the inspection, send the unit up, but your billing doesn't get interrupted on that rental contract. The rental contract continues. You generate invoices, cost posting. In addition to posting cost to projects, you also have the ability to post cost to general ledger. Some folks, for rentals, they have situations that it takes sometimes to clean a gear or get a dozer ready to go out and they want to post costs. They could do that. Equipment cost code we talked about. So this is where, as you're doing any transaction, whether it's doing a field service, non-billable for field service for your own equipment, we let you enter field service, enter the appointment, enter what parts, what labor used, and we roll up the cost. So you'll see what's the cost to maintain that equipment, schedule services for it, and the log for the completed scheduled services. Now, this goes hand in hand with the equipment ROI, which basically shows you for each piece of equipment, all as similarly all the expenses that you will get. So if you're entering an accounts payable bill, we let you on the accounts payable bill enter right here the equipment number that the expenses were for. And that's when it knows what equipment to roll up the expense to. So that plus any entry here, you tell it what equipment cost code you want to use, and that whether it's an outside service or whatever. So this cost code for that equipment would get updated to the equipment ROI. So you'll see all of that tracked for you. So you'll see the profitability. Now, this information is displayed to you by month. So when you come in here and you look at any one of these, it would show the amount. Let's see if we can find one. It would show the amount and we could select it and go see the source transaction for any repair. Again, this could be for rental equipment. This could be for your own trucks that you're using. We will let you track all the expenses, whether it's an AP bill, whether it's a field service, whether it's a scheduled equipment, where a scheduled service on the equipment, and you want to track the expense for it. So once you basically finish with your shipment, then you can go back to your rental contract and, of course, decide whether you want to invoice that rental contract. So here we know when we what are the dates that we're invoicing. One of the dates is 229. We're going to do one invoice. The next of it is the 331. So I can click on create rental invoice, and the system, now that I've shipped the product, would come in here and say what date do you want me to invoice it for. I could tell it it's 331 and apply filter, and it will tell me what items it's going to invoice. So these are all the items that are in that order. We can select it all and go ahead and invoice them and process. So now it's going to create an invoice in the SO module, which we could go, and it's in the balance status, and we can bring it up and look at what it's creating invoices for, and decide whether we're going to want to make changes to it or not. And in here we'll have all the detail that what serial number it was, what was the meter reading for it, what periods for, and so forth and so on, what it's built of. So all of that, of course, you release it. Now we'll reconcile all the rental contract. What it was when when you shipped, what the billings was when you entered it, how many days they were gonna keep, and as you bring it back, we will know how many days the customer actually had it. We'll create the actual invoices for you for the whether it's a credit memo or an additional invoice for the number of days that they actually had the product. I failed to mention that also when we're doing the invoicing, you can have scheduled billing. So you actually tell the system when you want to invoice that customer and what you want to invoice them for. Okay. So we're back. Some of the other things that you have available, your item availability. So right from here, we'll show you both the rental availability as far as just the Acumatica inventory availability. We'll take you here. I really wanted to take you to the rental item availability where you see. So you see here for the date range of the order, what's the availability. Whenever the availability is impacted, you have 8 on that day, this date to this date, you have 10, this date to this date, you have 11, and so forth. You want to look at the serial numbers, you could click here and see each serial number, what's their status. Well, a couple of them are in inspection, a couple of them are sitting in the stock, what's in rent, and so forth and so on. This one is the one that is on a rental order on rent, the other ones are sitting. And there's additional things available to you. Rental. By the way, we manage deposits. So if you have a rental order that you need to process deposits on by customer, you tell it whether or not that customer needs to pay deposit and what the deposit amount by item is. We let you do damage waivers. So instead of you're not collecting deposit, we will let you manage customers' insurance. If they don't have insurance and their insurance is expired, we'll tell you that their insurance is expired, and you may want to have a damage waiver line item on the order for that item, so the system would know what to invoice them. Rental status for any part item, any item in the rental contract, we will show you when you ordered, was entered, when it was shipped, the billing, any swapping is done here. If that unit, that serial number needs to be swapped with another serial number. Any date range you enter, we will tell you what the billing would be for that. The schedule, we let you edit the billing schedule for it and so forth and so on if you wanted to do that, whether it's scheduled billing or that's for scheduled billing. So if the scheduled billing is a type, when you have an order with a scheduled billing type, we would basically let you enter the exact days that you want to bill the order. So what we're going to do is, I think there's a setting, I keep demoing with this product, and sometimes I change the setting. I think the integration with the service order is turned off. I'm just going to go through and change that for this order type so I can show you that functionality as well. Service integration. Or to the wrong place. Let me just enter another order. And I'm just going to enter an electrician here. Uh, the crew scheduling, it did not come up. I'm trying to remember, see what could be causing that. But my apologies for that. This is for whatever reason, my crew scheduling does not display here. Okay. Just gonna switch quickly to a different company code. My apologies for that. And what we've done with this crew scheduling part and the improvement to the scheduling, we in the process of making it a standalone. So even if you have the Acumatica with a field service module, you have the ability to basically uh, so if I have a backup operator that I've selected for this item now, and I have the ability now to basically click on CRM info for the line and assign it a crew. So if my job is that I just want to assign the crew, I can go to the add staff and do that in here. Or I could just come in here and do the basically crew scheduling. Create service and appointments. And this is where it brings up the screen, and it lets me basically, for the line that I'm selecting, this operator, decide that I want to create an appointment, in what date, what time they need to get here, maybe 7 a.m. until 04 p.m. It needs to get there, and I can tell if it's a repeating that I need to repeat. So if there are two people that I'm going back and forth between them, I could do that. I can click on add staff and then decide who's the technician that I'm going to assign to this. So now, if I click on create, it would go ahead and create this appointment and bring up the scheduling board of Acumatica. So that would be all created for me, and I could view it. I can on the scheduling board, a calendar board of Acumatica. So this, of course, could be, you could be viewing it for a day, a week, month, and see additional information in here. You can change the way you're viewing this. And change so you'll see it one way or the other for the created transactions. So this gives you the ability to basically load multiple items into your rental contract and go ahead and create the thing for it. So if I select an item, the same way, it could be having multiple partners, labor lines. I'm just trying to find if I can come across an order that has multiple through lines and show you how the service, that screen would show more than one line item on it. So going back to the rental, some of the other things that we have is rental revenue. So for any item, or a class of item with a customer, you can basically come to it and see for the entered customer or item or a class of item, for the entered date range, what your rental revenue has been. So if you're wondering what did you make a rental of an item or a class of items in January, you just put that date in there and you would see that information. Uh, Create a rental invoice. We saw missing and damaged tracking. Anything that you processed and flagged as missing and damaged gets loaded in here. And your functions are, you can come in here, generate an invoice if the customer didn't do good and you're deciding to invoice them for it. Or let's say it's a good customer, the product cannot be used again, you want to issue it out of inventory and you don't want to invoice the customer, you will do that. Or if you want to close it because you're not going to invoice the customer just to fix it, and or the customer did good, you could basically go ahead and close it at this point. Other things that are available to us, we looked at this. There's other screens available that would let you view status, availability by grid. So you'll be able to see the information for a range of dates as we talked about. So with that said, I'm kind of done with covering what I wanted to cover. Of course, there's so much more to discuss. By item, you can decide what are the charge codes that you want to use when the product is returned. Maybe some items you charge cleaning, some items you do gasoline refill. So you have the ability to set up by item what are the different things that you're billing for. So, Race, if there's any questions I can answer. If this time.
Yes. Yes, there's one question. Does this integration work off of the equipment list provided in the field service module, or is it separate?
So we fully work with the equipment module of Acumatica, but if you do not have the field service module, we have our own equipment record as well. So 100% Acumatica's field service module is supported. So you can have field service transactions where people to go out to do let's say they go out to repair a pump and they realize that the pump needs to be pulled out to bring back to the office. They can add a rental line to that service order and start a rental transaction right from the service order, bring the product back, do the parts repair. So we fully work with the rental module of Acumatica. I'm sorry, field service module of Acumatica and the equipment module of Acumatica.
Okay, thank you, Alec. And that was all the questions that we have, but I will be sending a follow-up email after this. So if you think of anything else, feel free to just reply to me. And if you would like a one-on-one session, we can definitely have just a separate demo for you. And I'll also be sending a copy of this recording and a data sheet there with it as well. So thank you everybody for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar as well.
Thank you all.